Thanks for joining us, Catherine, and agreeing to talk to us about body image. Our first question for you is, you focus on healthy eating in your TV programmes and in your books. Do you think eating healthily can affect body image?
Oh, absolutely. I think healthy eating teaches you how to have a healthy body, and therefore you feel good about yourself. If you go up on a diet of lots of fast food and biscuits and sweets, it becomes really hard to manage your weight and your image as you grow older, speaking from experience. But if you have an understanding of healthy food and also an active lifestyle, I think you've got a good body image.
How did you feel about how you looked when you were a teenager?
When I was a teenager, can I remember that far back now? When I was a teenager, I was actually a very active teen. I was big into the ponies on the farm, and I also worked in my family guest house and on the farm. And that was grand. And I never thought, in fact, I'll tell you something, the pony looked better than I did because I never checked out how I looked. But then we started going to school discos and things started to change. And it's like as if it was overnight. I remember looking in the mirror thinking, I'm fat. I'm really fat. And actually, I don't look good. And that started a couple of years of what I now regret as kind of yo-yo dieting, trying to lose a bit of weight. If somebody had told me then, do you know what, Catherine, you're a pear shape. That's just it. Accept it. Live with it. I don't know whether I would have accepted it at that point, but I didn't really understand. I just wanted to look like everybody else. I wanted to be a really skinny minx. And I tried my best to be one for a couple of years. And it kind of, I suppose it would have led to a kind of a relationship with food, thinking food wasn't good for me. Do you know? And then you grow out of that. I grew out of it anyway, a couple of years. And then suddenly I began to think, you know what, it's all right, I look okay, food's great. And my relationship with food became back to normal, and my relationship with myself returned to normal. So I grew out of it.
What advice would you have for your teenage self there?
Okay, looking back, of course, I mean, it's so easy to look back anyway and try and change things in your mind. But looking back, I would say, what a waste of energy. Do you know, I could have really enjoyed those couple of years with my friends. But one thing I would say is to talk more. If I'd have talked more to my friends, talked more to my mum, I think I would have actually been a bit wiser. But I wasn't. At the time I was about 13, 14, kind of in around that age, 15. And I really wasn't, you know, smart enough to understand the changes in my body as I was, you know, becoming, I suppose, more into a woman, as they say. So I would say definitely, if I was looking back on it, talk more.
And what advice would you give to teenagers today about body image?
For teenagers today, I would say, based on my experience, we're all looking for perfection. We all want to look like each other. And you know what? That makes it a very uninteresting world. And there is no such thing as perfection. And if you start talking to your friends, you'll realise they're thinking the same too. They might want to look like you might want to look like them, but you haven't just swapped stories. So just accept how you are and enjoy yourself, enjoy your teens.
Do you think there's pressure on people to look a certain way?
Oh, I definitely think there's pressure on teenagers, you mean, or on people in general?
Some people in general.
People in general. I definitely think there's pressure on people in general. But there's as much pressure as you want to put on yourself. I think when you're younger, you're more susceptible to it because you're reading all these magazines and you're watching the TV, and of course fashion is a big thing to do with it. And you don't want to look different than anybody else as well. You want to look your best too. But I think there's probably too much pressure on us.
And do you think this comes just from the media, or do you think there could be other parts of society that could put this pressure on people to look a certain way?
I think it comes from the media primarily, and also our friends and peers. It's like we were saying, you don't want to look different. You want to look like everybody else. And you know what, there might be the tallest guy or girl in the class who is ultra gorgeous, ultra handsome. You want to be like that. The fact that you're a few inches shorter doesn't help. But you know, it's just that we want to not stand out in a negative way. We want to always stand out in a positive way. And there's nothing wrong with that. But my advice is to try and work your assets as best you can to look your best, and then enjoy yourself as you are.